I'm not ready. Just kidding.
It's a great intro. This is it. Don't get scared now.
Oh, I know this one, and I'm gonna hate it. The fact that I can't think of it.
Would you like me to say it again?
Yes.
Isn't there more to it than that?
This is it. Don't get scared now.
Okay. Yes. Now I absolutely know. Brett?
No.
Okay. It's Home Alone.
Oh.
The little gun really sealed the deal. Do you think they could ever remake Home Alone?
I feel like they've tried. They came out with a kind of a reboot / continuation of one a couple years ago, and it just didn't hit anywhere near the same as it did the original. So probably not.
I wonder if they could ever like. I mean, how many Home Alones they have? Like 5?
I think 5.
I mean, maybe they could if they took away the internet. Like if the internet was down, the phone lines were down, then maybe you might be able to argue something.
Well, that's something that I don't know if I didn't really I'm really slow at this, but last time I watched it, I didn't know that all the phone lines were down. I was like, oh, that makes more sense. And then I watched things, and I've seen snips and clips here of like what some of the things that were happening in the background. But there are so many things that if you watch it carefully, there's a lot of dominoes that had to fall to make it the way it was.
Yep.
Well, I just barely watched the Pitts meeting for that one for the first time.
I need to watch that.
It's really interesting because he starts off by explaining, the theory of believing the unbelievable. All of these things, like all these dominoes had to happen for this thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, okay, well, suspension of disbelief. And I just remember just watching it as when it originally came out, thoroughly enjoying it. And, watching it, I'm curious what it would be like to be a parent or an adult at that time and just be like, man, there's a lot of like, how does everybody like this? But it was one of those Christmas movies that take place at Christmas that, you almost have to just, it's one of those, the best way that you could describe it is popcorn movie, where you just sit down, eat popcorn, watch, and then it's over, and you just don't really think deep about it.
Yeah, and it's fun.
I mean, I watched that continuation reboot a couple years ago, and it's honestly not really worth the effort. I mean, they kind of allude to the McAllisters, like
is that the one where the police officer is actually the old
the brother.
The brother.
Yeah, Buzz.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He apparently becomes a cop, and Kevin eventually goes into home security. And so they follow a completely like just new family, and it's just a misunderstanding in the end. So
do they have like their own wet bandits?
Sort of, but they're not wet bandits. They're not criminals. They're just like neighbors in the neighborhood trying to get something back.
Oh, okay.
It's a complete misunderstanding. Well, welcome to the Utterly Useless Podcast, the only podcast that is thirsty for more.
Yeah, it is.
Across from me is a man that has lost his gold tooth after getting smacked in the face with the paint can. The Harry of the pod, Jeremy.
Hello.
Oh, that's not how you do it.
To my left is a man that got his, or to my left is a man that got home from, no, sorry. To my left is a man that got his face smashed with an iron, only to be followed up with a nail through the foot. The Marv of the pod, Brett.
I wish I could do the Marv scream. Like my favorite scream is the one where he puts his foot on the nail and just kind of pauses and then just drops back.
That's up there with the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
There was Somebody should really edit that scream and make it Willem scream.
And I'm the guy that got home from vacation only to find my home was flooded by the wet bandits, the random citizen of the pod to me.
Oh,
Nobody ever talks about you
I
No.
know.
in your trials.
Exactly.
I'm just glad that you're not the creepy neighbor who may or may not have chopped up his neighbors and used them as salt.
The shovel.
But you got to think about it. Like, kids know how to dispose bodies. That's how you can do it. You're doing it in plain sight.
Yes.
So, just out of curiosity, where do we lay on Home Alone 2?
I like Home
I
Alone
like
too.
it.
I don't like. I like everything until like they kind of get to the building, until they
Oh.
get to like the place where he sets up all the traps.
Mhm.
I think the old lady's,
Yeah,
the bird lady is a little
yeah.
much.
So, Bird Lady or Creepy Neighbor?
Creepy neighbor.
Creepy Neighbor.
Creepy neighbor.
Uh-huh. I love the Seinfeld where he had never watched it, and then he starts watching it. And he's just like, "Are you crying?" He goes, "They just didn't have to be so mean."
I don't remember that.
I can't remember, but George had watched it for the first time. People are like making Home Alone references, and he's just like, "What?" And they're just like, "It's a movie. It's been out for years. Like, you have no right to not know this." And so he's watching it or something like that, and then I think he's with his fiance at the time before she licks the envelopes and dies.
Oh yeah.
And she's sitting there and she just kind of turns and looks, and there's like a tear coming out of his eyes, and he's like, are you crying? And he goes, "No, you're crying." And he's like, "Are you crying?" He's like, "Are you crying through Home Alone?" And he's like, "They just didn't have to be so mean."
That's so funny. Oh, I was gonna say something. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh gosh.
Mm.
I was gonna ask a Home Alone related question, but you know what? Never mind. Move on.
All right.
All right, merit badges. What do we got?
Well, my merit badge this week is I'm getting old.
Ooh.
I
Too
work
old for this stuff.
Yeah,
Stuff.
there are times where I feel too old for this stuff. Like I work around college students, and like just some of the things that they do, I like it makes my face kind of droop to the point where it feels old. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, where like your eyes, the skin around your eyes just kind of goes, "Oh, I can't believe I'm dealing with this." Like just some things that they do, and
I'm not around college kids, so I
Yeah,
have no idea.
well, and then like I mean, I'm also around little kids too, like, and I'm just like, oh man, I must be getting old because the more stuff that they do, sometimes you can get just like it's like an eye roll, and you just gotta like shake your head, nod your head, and walk away.
See, this is a hard part for me, and I've had this thought numerous times. I have a hard time differentiating between getting old and becoming more of a hermit. Like, because they're two separate things for me. I know some old people become hermits, but like, I just like the fact that I don't have to leave my house very often.
Now I do strike back. Like, I will, I will use some of their words, like and stuff that they use that
No cap,
bussin',
skibbity.
I use these words around them, and they just get creeped out.
Yeah.
And they stop
Oh.
using them.
Yep. Brett's taught me to do this.
It is so joyful. Like my son, he starts randomly, like one of his things that he uses, I think way too much, is the word bet, which is, if you're not in the know, is just another word for cool. And I just like whenever, like, you're like, "Hey, look what I got you, bet," and I'm just like,
Yeah, it slaps.
and so what I'll do is like he'll use it, and then because I'm like, I think that is a stupid word to use for cool. How about you just use the extra O? So instead of a 3-letter word, you're using a 4-letter word. It's really not that hard, but it's like bet, like, and so I'll play around with him, like, "So who you betting? Like, did you win or something like that?" And he's like, "You just don't get it." And so And, I'm doing this to troll him, to use the common lingo. And so then what I'll do is when he'll use it once, and I'll just get this Grinch smile on my face, and I'll go. And so what I'll do is after that point, I'll just walk over to him and I'll just kind of pat him on the head. I go, bet. He goes, you're using it wrong. And I go, bet. And, and he goes, stop. And I go, bet. And he goes, you're using it wrong. I go, bet. And then and he goes, this is really annoying. I go, unbet. I've gotten him to the point where he used to use it at a higher clip, and now because I just constantly beat the word to death, it's one of those things. He'll say it and then he'll be like, because he knows if he says it once, I will probably beat it to death for the next 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
I do that. I do that kind of language around a lot of the college students, and it just makes them cringe. Like, oh, this burger is fire. These fries are lit. This chocolate milk is bussin'.
Somebody comes in, check out your drips.
No cap.
I would just, you know what I would do if I were you? I would probably just be like, hey, I heard there was a really cool bussin' devotional at BYU. Was it lit?
Skibbity.
just start referencing all the standard BYU stuff, but using their words.
That's funny. I could take that to a whole nother level. I because of Brett, I enjoy doing this to my son. And so I will now. So Jude, I was texting him the other day and I was asking him something. I was like, hey, do you think my other son would like Minecraft at this age? And he was telling me no. I was like, oh, thanks. I really appreciate it. No cap. And he goes, why me? I go, this has brought me so much joy.
Well, and it's so funny because my students, I teach 5th grade, and they will start using stuff, and all you have to do to get them to stop is if you ask them to stop, they're just going to do it more. And so all you do is just use it, and it annoys them to the point where what was it? The big word lately was, oh, that is so Sigma. And so I'd be like, oh man, I dropped my pencil. That is so stigma. And it's like, oh
sus.
Man. And I love using the word sus so much, to the point where I'm the only one that uses it in the classroom, because the other kids are just like, please make it stop.
I'm telling you, that is the way to get them to stop, is to use it yourself, because they don't like seeing older people use it.
Which is funny. I'm trying to recall back in the day, when I was younger and hearing people use, I don't even know because cool is actually older than me.
Oh yeah.
And
what was it? Casson caught me using a word that I didn't even realize was dated. And I think Tim used it in last week's podcast, and I was just like, oh good, it's just not me. And so I out of my way went and used it in my class or whatnot, and my students thought it was hysterical that I used the word dummy.
Dummy?
Yes. Dummy?
You bunch of dummies.
Oh, I mean, it's not commonly used, but it's not out of date.
But it's I think we used it at a higher clip way back in the 90s and stuff like that. But I used it, and my students thought that was the most hysterical word to have used.
The other day I used the word on my kid, doy.
Doy. No doy.
No doy.
Oh man, that reminds me of when on Community, when they go into the doy off. I never thought in a million years you could make that funny.
My favorite though is I've done it multiple times, and only people our age get it, is where you're just like, man, I said something, and then you take your hand and just go over your head, and you're like, whoosh.
Yep.
And I've done that to younger kids and stuff like that, and they're like, what did you just do? I go, apparently that just went over your head.
That's awesome. All right. Well, my merit badge is called the first upgrade. I got my first upgrade on an airplane.
Ooh.
And it's funny because, I fly a lot and like they show you now on the app of how, because of how much you're flying, what's your likelihood of getting upgraded and all that stuff. And then you can go onto the list and say, I'd like to upgrade. And first of all, this plane was super like big and it was going to Vegas and there was like only like 30 people on it. So it was super easy to get an upgrade when you're like going against nobody. And so like this, unfortunately, my first upgrade comes with like a downfall. Like, so what happens, and I didn't know what happens, but like I scan my phone for to at the gate to go sit in my seat. And they print you off like immediately a little thing comes out, a little piece of paper, and it comes out like, here's your new seat. Like you've been upgraded. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And she goes, oh, you get your own row to yourself. And I was like, oh, cool. So did I look at which seat I was going to sit at in the row of seats? Not at all. I just sat down in the window seat and then some guy sat down later. He's like, oh, you're sitting in my seat. I'm like, I thought I had my own row.
Oh.
I'm very confused. And so I was that guy who sat in somebody else's seat because I was told I had my own row. So I was happy and sad about that.
Yeah. That's sad.
Yeah. And I will say I didn't get to first class. I was in the comfort, whatever, plus. And those extra inches make a huge difference for tall people.
Yes.
Or probably everybody, but I was like, my gosh, who knew that like, I don't know, 3-4 more inches. I have no idea the difference, but it's like such a big deal.
I know. I'd love it if like the airlines actually cared about people's comfort and,
They don't.
took out 2 rows and just give everybody like an additional, like at least a half an inch.
Yeah. I would be happy if I've always wanted like on Fifth Element where everybody lays down.
There you go.
Or at least like your seat is already at a recline to begin with. And then the next seat in front of you is already at a recline. And then like, we've all seen those kind of chairs that already are kind of leaning back.
And then the upgrade is sitting.
Ooh, very meta there.
All right. Well, my merit badge is called Surrounded by Greatness. It is just me.
Thank you. Me and Criddle are great.
And
no cap.
And it's so funny. Bet. So throughout like the past couple of weeks, like my students have just like, it's every so often they'll say something and I'm just like, I like you. I feel as though now I like you more than everybody else in this classroom. And so I was just like walking around the other day and it was just before Thanksgiving break. And they're like, hey, Mr. Williams, have you seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? And I go, yes. And he goes, isn't it a great Thanksgiving movie? And I'm sitting there thinking, and I go, I like you. I think you're my favorite student in the entire class. And so then like a little while later, a kid goes up to me. They're like, Mr. Williams, have you ever seen Salute Your Shorts? I'm like, I like you. I think you're my favorite student in the entire class. And they're just like, but you liked him. I go, yeah, that's old news. This is what I like. And then, a kid goes up to me.
You are good.
Uh-huh. And they're like, Mr. Williams, do you know what our family tradition is? I go, what? And I go, he's like, we watch 3 movies
Muppets
every Christmas. And I'm sitting there thinking, I will tell you, I know I'm a weirdo. I do not like the movie Elf. Shun me. It's okay.
Boo.
It's okay. And I'm sitting there going, Elf, probably Grinch,
Home Alone,
Home Alone, maybe the Polar Express, probably the Polar
Die Hard
Express.
1.
And so I'm sitting there just like waiting to hear 3 things that I would rather never watch ever. And he goes, Muppets Christmas. I go, okay. I'm like, agree. And he goes, have you seen Christmas Vacation? And I like my eyes widen up and I'm like,
There's hope for you, boy.
yes, that is like the 1A, 1B movie right there. And he goes, and Miss Williams, do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie? Because we watch it every Christmas, or at least since I was like 5. And
A fifth grader?
Yeah, fifth grade. Well, he
Well,
said
ever since he was 5.
he said ever since he was 5. I'm like, so he's been watching it, for at least 6 years now.
I'm way behind then.
And I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
I am just surrounded by greatness.
those are some of my top 3 for sure. Like there's been some new ads
Oh
recently.
yeah, like because I said, I go, those 3 are my traditional Christmas movies. And I go, and I just barely added a new one, and they're just like, well, what is it? Is it Polar Express? Is it Elf? And I'm sitting there thinking,
Polar Express sucks.
and I go, no, it's my 8-bit Christmas. And some of the kids are like, what is that? And I'm like, well, it's this thing that takes place in the 80s because the 80s were unsafe. And one of the kid goes, oh, it's on Max, right? I go, yeah. And they're like, we're going to watch that. And we're going to talk to you like in a couple days.
And then we're going to be your favorite.
Oh, yes, I am surrounded by greatness.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. I think Spirited is one that I'm willing to.
That's what that's what my students said. When I said my 8-bit Christmas, they're like, have you seen Spirited?
Spirited is surprisingly good. Have you seen it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I wonder if what happens when your students start saying good afternoon?
Yeah, good afternoon. Well, he hasn't seen Spirited yet.
Oh.
Would so far. It doesn't say.
And you yell back, "Good afternoon." No, I like the Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds because it's kind of like almost like it's like a little bit of Deadpool came out and went into this movie.
Mm.
It's almost like Will Ferrell like tames down the Will Ferrell, and Ryan Reynolds kind of slowly tames down the Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
And then they kind of work. It works well together.
and then with their powers combined,
Captain Planet.
yeah.
Oh, Captain Planet. Go Planet. Which one out of the rings was the worst?
The heart,
Heart. Yeah.
because there's wind,
Wind,
rain,
Earth, wind,
or
water,
no,
fire.
Earth, wind, fire,
water.
heart.
And wasn't he like the last one too? He's like heart.
I thought it was like an Asian girl.
I know, or she.
Yeah.
I just remember. Yeah,
They.
it's definitely an Asian person.
Because Earth was, I think, was Earth the black kid?
I don't.
Fire was the redhead.
That makes sense.
Water was she like the Russian girl or something like that?
I don't know. It's been a while.
Or water. Just kidding. I don't know.
Water.
I'm looking up now.
Okay, good.
Hold on, listeners. This is important.
This is something that we have to figure out.
And who would play the live action Captain Planet?
Does Captain Planet have a mullet?
I was about to ask that.
I believe so. I believe he has a mullet.
So probably Chris
That-
Hemsworth.
Oh, I was going to say Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, like in looks, this wouldn't be good for the character, but in looks, I feel like a Ben Stiller could pull him off only in looks.
From what's that movie?
What, from Heavyweights era?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, I what was that? I was watching a thing on YouTube about the history of what was it? Back to the Future. Ben Stiller was up for the role for Marty McFly.
That would have been a different movie.
Uh-huh.
All right.
All right. So
What's happening?
the Asian girl is wait.
I don't even know what this one is. So is this a girl?
Yes.
Earth, Wind,
That's a
Water.
girl.
No, that's
a
a boy.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I thought.
okay, so-
boy, it's like in. I don't know if he's Asian. He's Asian-ish, like
Yeah.
Indian or something like that.
Yeah.
But
He's heart.
Wind is the blonde.
I think is she Russian or something like that?
I don't
I feel as though
remember.
she's European. And then
Fire's the
the
redhead
American
boy.
is the redheaded boy.
Earth is
the
black guy.
The black, I think African.
and then what is this one? Earth, wind,
fire. What
Oh,
am I
this is
missing?
water.
Water.
So she's water. The
So-
Asian girl's
Yeah,
water.
so the Asian girl's water. Okay.
All right.
All right. That was fun.
Had to do
Trip
that.
down memory lane.
Yep.
All right.
Spin the wheel.
All right. We have Spin the Wheel where we have 10 categories of questions. We're going to spin the wheel and decide who's going to be asking what. Criddle, you're up first, and you get blind ranking.
We're going to rate these Christmas movies without knowing what comes next.
Oh, could be mean.
Elf fifth.
Number 1, Scrooged.
So you said these are 1 through 5?
1 through
Uh-huh.
5.
1 through
Okay.
5. All right.
Yep, once you pick, that's it.
I'm going to go 2.
2.
Scrooged, right? Is what you said?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm going to go with 4.
I feel like somewhere I don't think it's a number 1,
No.
but I don't think it's a number 5.
See, I'm because of my dislike of Elf, I'm just waiting for that one to be slotted in number 5. And
No, the main thing is if you're going to pull up like Miracle on all that, whatever street that is, and White Christmas and all that stuff.
Number 2, Christmas Vacation.
1.
Christmas Vacation. Okay, I got to plan this strategically. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a 1 as well.
I feel like a Christmas Vacation's a solid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go 1 as well. I feel like there's not much more.
Not much trumps Christmas Vacation.
Even
No.
if you throw out Muppets, I can give it a 2.
Yeah.
Brett would have to give it a 3.
Yeah. You know what? I'm prepared to make that sacrifice.
Okay, number 2 or number 3, Jack Frost.
That's the Michael Keaton one, right?
Yes.
4.
I'm going to put it as 5.
So you've got your 1, your 2, your 4.
Mm-hmm.
So right now hold on, I'm writing.
I mean, Jack Frost is one of those movies that's kind of forgettable,
but
but also memorable.
Brett has 3 and 5 left,
Mm-hmm.
and I have 2 and 3 left. So I'm hoping for good ones. Come on, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy.
Number 4, 8-Bit Christmas.
Yeah,
Number 3.
that's what I'm talking about.
For Brett, it's really 1A, 1B,
1C. Uh-huh.
I am going to put this as number 2 because I don't think you're going to put in anything that's going to come up is going to be coming between Christmas Vacation and 8-Bit Christmas. I'm very happy with my order right now. This is the one. This is the clincher.
Okay, here comes Elf.
Star Wars Christmas Special.
Five. Oh, you just destroyed it. You sure Brett's makes sense now,
Yeah.
but mine does not.
Mine is perfect. Oh my word. It would not. Had
You're
you
just-
given me this list, you gave me that list beforehand. Thanks.
Would you have not moved? Would you have moved 8-Bit Christmas up 1 above Scrooge?
I can see it either way.
But otherwise, yes, I would agree that yours is the better list. Mine just got destroyed because I was happy with Christmas Vacation and 8-Bit Christmas, and then not knowing Star Wars be third, and Scrooge and Jack Frost. That
Gotta throw
order
a
was
bomb in there.
But-
So, just out of curiosity, what because we do this with our drafts, like what were some
honorable mentions
honorable mentions?
For the movies?
that you were
Yeah.
you were considering.
Oh, I considered the wide range. Like I thought, maybe I'll just be nice and do all of our favorites. Die Hard,
You had to put a
Muppets
boom in there.
Christmas Carol. You know, I didn't really think about putting Elf on the list because I knew you guys don't really, or
Oh.
you just don't really like it. You do.
I like Elf.
I thought about putting Spirited, but then I just thought about kind of mixing and matching and seeing how would they rank them without knowing. And I got to throw a bomb in there.
I'll tell you, Jack Frost was a reach. I have not thought about that movie probably since I worked at the video department in the late 90s.
I don't think I've watched it since it was on VHS.
I don't think I've watched it all the way through.
Oh man.
Like, because I remember it. Because doesn't he like die or something like that and
Mhm.
turn into
Yeah.
a snowman?
Yes.
More like fades away.
But yeah, if I did finish it, I don't recall. All right, Brett, you're up next, and you got what would you have done?
All right. Your cousin Eddie is in your living room holding your boss tied up with a big red bow on your head or on his head. What would you have done?
I'm trying to think. First of all, I would laugh a little bit because my boss. So I work in a company that's all across the world, and so my boss is actually really close, lives in the same area as my in-laws do. So of all
Lehigh?
places,
Wow.
yep. So I'd kind of laugh a little bit and be like, he's cousin Eddie, and he'd probably be like, yeah, it's fine. But no, I'd be like, yeah, cousin Eddie, you're out of the house. You got to get out of here. You can't be doing this stuff.
I would just be frozen. Like, am I in the right place? What's going on?
How would your boss react?
I mean, I'm trying to remember in the movie, he's tied up and he's gagged.
Yeah, well, he has a bow, right, on him?
He has a bow on his head. He's tied up and gagged.
And he's in his robe.
And I believe he has a leash or a rope, at least, that
he
Eddie
does.
is like guiding him around with.
I'd be like, well, clearly this is just a misunderstanding.
If you want to press charges against my cousin, go ahead.
Go for it. Yeah.
Go for it. I'm really sorry. I'll get you out of here.
I'm like, I will supply my picture from my doorbell. You know, okay,
Yeah.
There's proof. You can check my phone. I didn't ask for this.
You know what? That could have been ultimately a good spinoff because cousin Eddie doing hard time. That'd have been fun to watch. It'd have been almost like a slightly different version of who's that weird guy that made all those movies back in the 80s and 90s? Gosh. What is his name? He wears a tan hat, a tan vest. The guy who played him was in Beverly Hillbillies, the dad.
Jim Varney.
Yeah. What is the show called? Or the movie?
Ernest.
Ernest. Yeah. It'd be almost like an Ernest goes to prison kind of thing with cousin Eddie.
That would be kind of funny. Like, cousin Eddie, getting in line for food and just kind of like
I want some of the yellow.
sitting there just kind of like, causing somebody's about ready to get shivved or something like that. And he's just like, whoa there, buddy.
Thing had 9 lives.
Yeah, that would have been a great spinoff there. And then when they go to Vegas vacation, it's after he's done his time.
Exactly.
And we can call this short Uncle Eddie.
Exactly. What would you have done, Brett, if you're your principal?
I would have sat there and been like, I'm confused. Like, what did I say? Because like, did I make the only way I could see that happening is watching a Christmas Vacation. Like, that'd be kind of funny if that happened to me in real life. And then he'd be like, okay.
Okay.
Because I could just see my boss just going, Brett, what the heck? I'm like, I didn't.
So technically, Uncle Eddie in your situation is Jeremy.
Uh-huh.
What?
No, cousin Eddie.
Oh, cousin Eddie. Okay.
Cousin
never
Eddie.
mind.
No, it would be
Cousin? No, it would be an in-law.
Yeah.
In-law. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's also be
So what you're saying is
brother-in-law.
Taylor did this for both
Taylor
of us.
did.
Yeah, Taylor. That's one of my brother-in-laws. Yep. Taylor goes and kidnaps both of your guys' bosses, or my boss.
Yeah.
My boss. Yeah. All right.
No, it's your bull.
All right, my turn, and I get what if. Okay, what if you came across a wizard and he made you choose one thing to eliminate from this world and from everyone's memories? What would it be? Like, so it's just one thing. So like if you chose to forget what TVs are, every TVs will be gone from the world as well as from memories. Nobody will be able to remember what a TV was.
All right. Clarifying question.
Yep.
Do you consider YouTube social media?
I mean, it's regarded as such. I honestly don't, because I feel like it's another form of it's streaming videos.
Yeah.
But I mean, as much as a forum is is social media,
Yeah.
which I don't think forums are considered social media.
because part of me would be like, I'd like to, I'd like to rid the world of social media.
That would be nice.
But then if I lose YouTube, that'd be sad.
Well, you get to pick. You don't have to just say blanket statement. You can, I mean, yeah, you can just say all the socials of the normal socials.
I feel like there's too many now.
Yeah. Okay, I would do away with, the best way to describe it is Twitter-like social medias.
Yep. Okay. And so would you include Instagram and Facebook then? Is that kind of in the same thing?
I'm trying to figure out, like, because did people use that as, I've only used Facebook to just either find a friend group, like, Doctor Who group clubs and stuff like that, DC comic clubs and stuff. I've never used it as, hey, take a look at this dummy at said this or something like that, getting a screenshot and uploaded it and just berating people. I do know that happens.
Yeah, it does. It used to happen a way more before Twitter really got traction and all that, I feel like. And then also I've like blocked from seeing a lot of people who are crazy on Facebook. So I don't see a lot of posts. Honestly, I just see a lot of news.
So, yeah, I would do away with Twitter-like things. I'll just do a blanket of Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. And because I only see YouTube, because I feel as though YouTube went from cat videos to, with the explosion of Twitter, to a social media thing. And if you didn't have that aspect, I feel as though it would just be like, cat videos, streaming games online and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Interesting. To be completely honest, I probably would rid the world of cigarettes. Man, I'm so tired of like walking into cigarette smoke and
on the BYU campus.
And just like I hate getting in like cars and stuff where it's just like, oh, you definitely know it's been here.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's hard to get rid of.
It's funny because I went to an event in Argentina and I feel like everybody smokes there in Argentina. And I was talking to one of the people I was working with who lives in Florida. I was like, man, they smoke a lot down here. And he goes like, really? You think so? I'm like, more than the US? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I don't think so. It's like, I think everybody smokes just as much in the United States. I'm like, I travel quite a bit. And honestly, I don't smell smoke. Like, I was in Vegas last week. And honestly, the amount of people I saw smoking in Vegas, in the casinos where it's just fine, was very few. So I don't know. But I would agree. I'd get rid of smoking. But
you went to Germany recently, right?
Yep.
So when I went to the UK, and I was curious if it was like a European Union thing, but their warning about carcinogens or whatnot on cigarette packets are just about the same size as the cigarette brand company. Like you know the brand because of like the top part or whatnot, but they have this thing that, basically this causes cancer. You are doing this to yourself, blah, blah, blah. This, make sure to be careful because, secondary smoke can blah, 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 blah. Like people actually have to look at that and then continue to choose not to just ignore its existence, but it's there front and center always. Did they do that did you notice that at all in Europe or in Germany?
I didn't in Germany because I didn't see cigarettes really anywhere or packs of cigarettes, but I did see it in Argentina.
Oh, okay.
And Argentina has things like, it's kind of sad. Like I do like seeing my beverage of choice, like Mountain Dew or something like that, having the label on their can or whatever, but they have everything plastered over the top of it. Very similar. Like this is an overly sugared drink. This is an overly caffeinated drink. Just kind of giving you all the warnings. And it's like,
not this one.
I'm like, you took away all the the prettiness of this
Mhm.
bottle, her can. So, and it's like every time I bought something, I was like, I'm a horrible human being for drinking this or whatever it was. Like, and sometimes like, oh, this is an overly high sodium food, and I'm like, oh,
A whale was murdered to make this for you. Like, oh my gosh, Willie.
So it's funny because
This apple's overly healthy for you.
yeah, that'd be funny. Like, oh, I don't know about that.
I was watching on Paramount Plus Jeff Dunham thing because I was kind of curious what it was going to be about, and one of them was just like, one of his puppets he was doing, and he's just like, what I really appreciate as I watch these people who exercise consistently, eat nutritious foods always, pass up on like the sugar and chocolate cake and the buttery stuff. He's like, I appreciate that they're gonna die too.
Yeah, I feel like no matter how well we live with health food and all that stuff like that, you're only adding like days onto your life, not years, not months.
But it's not the days, it's the quality though.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I don't know why I was going to bring this up, but I found this out recently. YouTube. Do you know what inspired YouTube to be created?
Cat videos.
No.
America's Funniest Home Videos.
No. Janet Jackson's Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, there's no platform where you can just go watch things like this over and over and over again.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that
too.
in real life.
Interesting.
I was one of those things where I'm like, I wasn't sure what I saw because it was so fast, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know it wasn't a nipple, but I'm like,
But it was.
no, there's a pasty on that.
No, there wasn't. There was a piercing around it.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw a pasty. Okay.
But yeah, so there was like, there's no platform for people to go watch this. So like, that's what inspired their thoughts on that.
Interesting. And then the cat videos came.
And then the cat videos came and they dominated.
Mm-hmm.
Dominating the countryside. All right, Krill, you're up next, and you got random question.
Welcome back to a holiday edition of If You Had to Pick a Roommate, who would you pick?
Cousin Eddie. Oh.
So we have 8 choices.
Okay.
Mhm.
Would you pick as your roommate Scott Calvin Santa Claus from the Santa Claus? Would you pick Bernard the Elf from the Santa Claus? Would you pick the Santa Claus from Rise of the Guardians? Would you pick Buddy the Elf
No.
from Elf?
No.
Would you pick the Kurt Russell Santa Claus from the Santa Claus Chronicles? Would you pick the Paul Giamatti from Fred Claus?
I like
Would you pick the Santa Claus from Home Alone that Kevin meets
Oh,
outside
yeah,
of his
gets like
car?
you get Tic Tac.
Or, yeah, Tic Tac. Or would you pick the Santa Claus from A Christmas Story?
I'm going with the Tim Allen one.
Hmm.
I forgot his name on that.
Scott Calvin.
Yeah, Scott Calvin.
He's your roommate. No, he doesn't give you any presents,
That's fine.
but you're his roommate. You got to see how he is in the off season.
He seems fine. He seems like he'd be probably one of the best roommates. Who is the second one?
Bernard the Elf.
Yeah, definitely going with Scott Calvin.
He eats all your food.
So I'm gonna go on and pick one that I haven't seen because I haven't seen some of these. Like, for example, Tim Allen's The Santa Claus.
You haven't seen Tim Allen's?
I saw number 3.
Why?
No, were you lost?
I was house sitting with my parents' house about 2 Christmases ago, and I just decided to jump on their treadmill, and so I was walking, and they had nothing on their TV whatsoever. It's just like 30 channels, and the only one that was palatable, talking about Jeremy's Weather Channel game. It was Santa Claus 3. And so I watched
Oh
it.
my goodness.
Is that the one with
That's the one with
Jack
Kevin
Frost?
Spacey.
Oh, Kevin Spacey. Okay.
Wait,
Oh,
Kevin
yeah.
Spacey.
No. Sorry, that's not the one with Kevin Spacey. Sorry,
Martin Short.
Martin Short.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the one I was thinking of. Jack, because he's Jack Frost, right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's a weird one to just kind of randomly get into.
I was on the treadmill. Like if it was one of those things where if I was in any other room of the house, I had multiple options of everything. But in front of the treadmill, I had 30 channels, and that was the only one. Like there was 9 different like QVC similar channels. And I was like, oh.
Now the question is, Criddle, do you think the boat has or the ship has sailed for Brett in watching number 1? Is he too old?
No, because I think it brings some nostalgia from the 90s.
Yeah,
and I
that's
think
true.
eventually you'll go down that road.
So I'm gonna go with, because Paul Giamatti, I enjoy Fred Claus, but Paul Giamatti bothers me.
Yeah, he does me too.
So I'm gonna go with Kurt Russell, even though I haven't seen that movie.
I've only seen it once.
I was it once and I forgot all about it.
It's on my to watch list.
I would watch the Santa Claus first.
Watch the Santa Claus. There's 1, 2, 3.
Because,
and then
I mean-
the TV series.
I mean, Tim Allen is great. I mean, he's just Tim Allen doing his stuff. Then there's that tall guy isn't he from Lethal Weapon? I'm trying to remember what he's from.
No, Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, that's right. Beverly Hills Cop.
The
The
One of the cops.
one of
the
the cops.
detective.
Yeah,
one of
the
the
tall
detectives.
cop. That's like
Okay,
kind of-
yeah, I liked him in Beverly Hills Cop.
he's in the Santa Claus.
Okay.
yeah.
So like I look through this list and I go, who would I pick? And I'm like, Buddy the Elf would be way too much.
Yes.
And there'd be so much sugar in the house. Bernard would be eating all your food and disappearing. Let's see, Scott Calvin. It might be one of the most viable options. I don't want the Home Alone Santa Claus because I don't want my place smelling like smoke. I might click with the Santa Claus from A Christmas Story because I don't think he likes kids and I think it's just a job. And he doesn't mind going, ho, 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 get out of here. And just kicks kids in the face. So I guess I'll go with Scott Calvin.
All right. Man, this is a day of me trying to I had things I was gonna say and then I forgot. Anyway, moving on. Brett, you're up next, and you got Kiss, Marry, Kill.
All right. Kiss, Marry, Kill, the movies of these 3 people: Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray.
Is this like them as an individual, or is this in their their complete works?
Like Ghostbusters is dead if you kill either Bill Murray or Dan Aykroyd.
Okay, so it is their complete
Uh-huh.
works.
Yes.
Does that include TV shows?
Just sure. We'll go
Yeah, it's
TV
their
shows.
complete works.
Because I feel like, I mean, the biggest loss for me for Chevy Chase would be Christmas
Community.
Vacation.
And Community.
Yeah. So I those would be the toughest losses for me because I feel like I watch more Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
The thing though is I'm having to think this out of killing Dan Aykroyd. And I'm trying to think yes, Ghostbusters is a casualty to this.
Mhm.
But what other movie?
He's
I guess
Tommy
Tommy
Boy.
Boy's gone.
Tommy Boy,
Michael Omer.
Coneheads.
Coneheads.
51st Day season there.
I could easily
but yeah.
kill 51st Days.
Yeah, me too. Any Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore is not good in my book. It's not the best. I mean, they're okay, except for the last one. The last one was just awful.
Dan Aykroyd makes a cameo in Casper.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
that's right.
Somebody else.
He's also in the underrated Celtic Pride.
Oh yes, that is a movie I want to rewatch.
Yeah, you know what? I love that movie
It is
because it's video evidence that the Jazz won a NBA title. Most people don't count that. I do.
Oh, I remember what I was going to talk about earlier. Second, rewinding. Elf. Watched a thing on there that when he's eating his cereal,
Mhm.
Elf. Apparently, they could only do 2 takes of that because after Will Ferrell ate the cereal once, he vomited. because it's just so much sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, okay, we'll do one more time.
Oh,
I can only imagine eating all that sugar.
Was that on the movies that made us? Is that,
No, I
oh,
watched it from something else.
Okay.
But
I thought about at work doing like a cereal challenge,
uh-huh.
like for the college students, just
That'd
to
be-
see if anybody would participate in that.
Would you get any slack from your bosses and be like, that was
Well-
that was unhealthy or that was irresponsible?
So a while a couple months ago, there was this thing that happened on social media that somebody posted that these students were trying to do a tower challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and a tower is like this one of those dispensers of cereal that are like
Oh.
2.5 feet high,
Uh-huh.
and it's full of cereal, and they were trying to, like a group of them were trying to empty it and eat it before our work employees could fill it back up.
Yeah.
And every time we caught trying to fill it up, and
And there's
they
like,
could never
"Aw."
empty it. But like, I wonder if we were to do a tower challenge like that with a group of like 5 students, could you guys eat all this cereal?
See, I think they'd be fine with it because I remember on the mission we had, I don't know if you guys did this in Texas, probably not because, you guys were probably more reverent. But we
We had a corner of the 12 apostates.
we had so did we I didn't know who they were, but just knew they existed. But we had 3 different challenges. One was just a simple gallon challenge, which is trying to drink and withhold.
I would have almost got that.
the milk, 1 gallon of milk. But then one student or one missionary came up with the idea of, hey, how about
Chocolate.
a half-gallon chocolate milk challenge? And they're like, oh, I think I could do that. And they're like, and then roll down a hill.
Oh gosh.
And then they then they decided, because in California it's sunny all year round, and
Milk
so
was a bad choice.
they decided during the months of November, December to change it to half-gallon eggnog challenge, which again, drinking it
Yes.
a half a gallon and then rolling down a hill.
I think even a carton of eggnog would be difficult to do.
That sounds tough.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'd watch, but I don't know if I.
oh yeah, I was always in for watching. In fact, I would egg people on, like, I think you should totally do the gallon challenge. I think you could handle a half a gallon.
Of course.
I would egg people on and they're like, well, what about you? Are you going to do it? No.
Oh, I couldn't handle that. I don't have the stomach for that.
is it weird that I'd rather do the full gallon challenge of normal milk versus the other smaller challenges of chocolate milk and eggnog?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
it sounds more reasonable.
I mean, one of them you could literally do just. I mean, you deal with the pain sitting down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to have the churning going on.
See, and I always thought that like the gallon challenge of having a full hour
Mm-hmm.
is too much time.
If you spit it up, you might be making cheese.
Oh, I mean, that's just like every baby that's ever thrown up.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, back to your kiss, Mary, kill. So Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Chevy Chase. I don't know who I want to kill now since I thought Dan Aykroyd was the low hanging fruit, but now he's like in everything. And Bill Murray, I mean, I'm losing Zombieland. What else? Bill Murray might be the better choice.
You're losing Groundhog's Day. You're losing, but like,
You're losing Garfield. Losing all those Wes Anderson movies. Oh, darn.
darn.
He was in the 3rd Ant-Man movie.
No, darn.
He's in the
Oh,
3rd
darn.
Ant-Man
Yeah,
movie?
he is.
Oh,
Have you not seen it yet?
no. I saw a trailer for that. I'm like, I'm not going to. You know what?
It would be interesting to have you watch it and give a.
If you saw the trailer, you saw the movie.
Well, and
Well, have you seen MODOK in the trailer?
I don't. It's been
Yeah.
a while since I've seen the trailer.
MODOK throws you through a loop.
all I remember for phase 4. So wait, that was phase 4, right?
Yep.
I don't even know.
So
anymore.
all I remember is, in fact, for my, what would you have done? I think I've already done it, but I was going to say at the end of Endgame, would you have like tried to persuade, the brain trust at Marvel to be like, just reboot the universe and do something new because nothing else is going to be good. But that's besides the point.
They should.
During phase 4, so for my birthday, we rented out a theater and we watched Black Widow, and I'm like, not bad, but not good either. And then I saw the trailer for Shang-Chi and I was just like, I'll watch that maybe. And I never did. And then I saw the 3 different trailers for the Eternals, and the closer that each one got to the end date, it looked worse and worse and worse.
And I bet you the movie was even worse.
And I haven't watched the movie, but I can only imagine. And I've heard it's pretty bad.
It's
too.
awful. You don't need to watch it ever in your life.
And then I watched, what was it? I saw, the best thing for phase 4 is Spider-Man No Way Home. And then I got duped into the possibility of Doctor Strange 2 being good, and it wasn't.
Nope.
And then I just decided I'm just sitting this out until like Marvel can get their crap together. And so, no, I have not seen. Also, probably another unpopular opinion with my elf. I've never liked any of the Ant-Man movies. You talked me into watching Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I did?
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Because I watched the first Ant-Man and everybody's just like, that is so great. I'm like, did we watch the same thing?
That's weird because I thought you liked Ant-Man.
No, I did not like Ant-Man. And so I did not want to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp. And you're like, well, you're going to have, because it was almost before Endgame. And you're like, Brett, you're going to have to, because of this.
Mm-hmm.
I think we even talked about it on the podcast. And so I watch it, and I remember coming back to you the next week. I go, you just could have told me just to watch the end credits scene. I didn't need to watch any of that.
You had to know how the pin particles worked and all that stuff.
Okay, I think I'm going with kiss Bill Murray.
Whoa.
Marry Dan Aykroyd and kill Chevy Chase.
All right, just 1 second. I'm going to turn into my golf voice for announcer for a second. So as we were talking about the incredibleness of
Who are you killing again?
Marvel.
Killing Chevy Chase.
So you're killing
4.
dirty work.
Yeah.
Tim was on his phone and did some massive research. Let's go in and figure out what's going on. So what is going on? Because you were doing massive research while we were talking about that.
I know.
So what made this turn around?
I just looked at their body of work and what I watch the most out of everything. And I'm like,
because here's the problem with, and I'm curious about your Mary, because he's either on the kissing block or he's on the, kill block. Like
for I had to make a choice. It was Sophie's choice.
Sophie's choice.
Had to pick one.
So what was the fight? Was it Ant-Man 3 that pushed it over the lip? Was it
to kiss Bill Murray?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I think I just like the quality of work more with Dan Aykroyd than I do with Bill Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And either way, I get to keep like things like Ghostbusters and stuff because when they work together.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They work together. But I think Dan Aykroyd brings a little bit of I think I like his sense of humor style more than Bill Murray's, just a little bit.
See, my problem is for as great as you get to keep Ghostbusters 1, for as great as that, then there's Ghostbusters 2, which is when Jeremy said I could wizard certain knowledge out of everybody's minds. The one thing that came across, and it wasn't Ghostbusters 2, it was everybody knowing the existence of Austin Powers 3.
Yeah.
But Ghostbusters 2 is a close second.
Oh, I don't mind Ghostbusters 2. It's definitely not as good as 1. And then
Brett's always had a deep hatred.
And then I think they went too dramatic in Afterlife, and then I think Just the way Ghostbusters Frozen Empire ended, I was disappointed.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it was definitely disappointing.
Okay, you're on the
Ugh.
board.
I am on the board, aren't I?
I feel like there's no right answer.
I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with who I'm killing,
Who
and
are you killing?
killing Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's my bro.
I looked through the list, and there's few and far between.
Well, and I think Dan Aykroyd brings more comedy to his works than I think Bill Murray does,
Mm-hmm.
and so I get it.
Now I'm just trying to decide who to marry, man. It's just like life.
I feel like Bill Murray does great cameos more than he does roles,
Mm-hmm.
but
Well, yeah. I mean, with his I mean, he wasn't cameo, but he was not the main person for Caddyshack. But
Mhm.
he made the movie. Him going to war against
yeah,
the groundhog, not groundhog, but the mole.
Mole.
And then Dan Aykroyd tried to do the same character in Caddyshack 2, and it just didn't work.
No,
Yeah.
but didn't.
Hmm.
This is a hard one because, like, it's funny looking back at these, and not only that, Dan Aykroyd's like filmography list is much shorter. And I was like, wow, I didn't. Yeah, in hindsight, you didn't act that too much. I'm marrying Chevy Chase.
Yeah, me too. Me and Jeremy. You know what? This is why he's my favorite brother. Yep, marrying Chevy Chase, kissing Dan Aykroyd, and you know what? Gonna have Woody Harrelson do what, or not Woody Harrelson? Was it not Arkansas, not or Tennessee?
Oh yeah. Man, it's been a while.
Jesse-
Tallahassee and
Tallahassee and
double tap.
Columbus.
Columbus. Yeah, I'm gonna have Columbus do what Columbus does.
Yeah, there's only a couple Bill Murrays, and I think sadly enough, though, Bill Murrays that I really appreciated were the much older ones, like Stripes and stuff like that, and the newer stuff. Anything past Ghostbusters is less entertaining.
Yeah,
All right, we're ending with me, Mario. Okay, I got Would You Rather.
all right.
Would you rather have the Men in Black flash all your TV knowledge or all your movie knowledge? And not when I say knowledge, I mean like you don't even remember them. So in a sense, you could rewatch all your shows again or all your movies again, and it'd be like the first time.
Feels like the first
That was in my head.
I think I would do movies because do you know how much work it would be to reacquire all of that TV knowledge? That is going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, but you could watch 24 all the way through again.
I will go with movies.
Really?
Yeah, because there are some movie experiences that I would love to revisit.
It's
Oh,
true.
yeah, that's why I went with movies because the best movie that I can't see ever like that ever again is The Game with Michael Douglas. Oh, I love that movie so much, but the instant you know how it ends, like the only joy that I ever got from watching The Game multiple times is watching it with other people. Just to, after I watched it, I was like, "Hey, Jeremy, let's watch this movie, The Game," and then we'd go. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, let's watch The Game." And then we were over at my grandparents' house. Hey, let's go watch The Game. It was the only way that I could have enjoyment because I knew how it ended. It was a fantastic twist ending. And it was just one of those, I'll never be able to, minus the Men in Black type of situation, be ever able to not know how this movie ends.
The only downside to picking movies is I wouldn't be able to experience a lot of these movies in the theater again.
That's true. That is a downside.
That's the only downside.
Mm-hmm.
But there are movies that I'm like, to have that feeling of this is the greatest thing I've ever seen again would be awesome.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to,
And I could catch up easily.
It'd be fun to sit down and curate that list before, like, oh, okay, I'm not ready yet, and like write yourself in order, like watch this first, this second, third, and almost build like. I mean, I think what I would do is I wouldn't start out strong. I would start off like good, and build my way up from there.
A Memento list.
Yeah, like exactly. A Memento list to watch Memento as well as others, like to be like, and because like I said, I wouldn't start off with like my like Dark Knight. Dark Knight would be somewhere down the list.
You gotta build up to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
We're going to do a new segment this time. It's called Reboot or Sequel. And I'm going to name a movie franchise or movie that you would rather see as a sequel, continued, or rebooted.
Okie dokie.
Okay. The first one is The Matrix.
Rebooted. Absolutely rebooted.
Now, when I say like continued, I mean like I know that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, so it would just be number 5.
Yep. Kill the season. I mean, kill the series. It's got to start over
Completely. Do you think it'd be better than what they did?
No, I would go sequel just because they could never recapture the magic of the first one. And the hard part would be is they would try to do near shot for shot. And everybody would be like, well, you know, Keanu Reeves is Neo.
Can I make one alteration to this, and I would pick that instead of reboot? Can
What's
I
that?
choose prequel?
I mean,
Because I would love to see a prequel. Like
you can. I mean,
go back to when the machine's taken over.
We can count a sequel as a prequel.
Okay, I'm going prequel.
Sure.
I ruined this game.
Well,
Because I mean, some people do prequels like you know Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, and then they come out with 1, 2, 3.
Mhm.
well, like what was it? The Hunger Games had the prequel to how President Snow became evil, and it was just like, I'll tell you, I think the idea was kind of interesting. The story actually sucked so bad.
Yeah, I just want to lay the foundation of the robots and essentially it'd be a pre-Neo world.
Okay, I'm changing the game. It's prequel, sequel, or reboot.
Okay.
Ooh, oh my!
Broke the game already. This is why we can't have nice things.
This is why the Matrix is broken. Okay, so moving on. Next one, The Princess Bride.
I'm gonna say right out the bat, I don't see a reason for a prequel. I think this is something that I don't think financially it would be beneficial to have a sequel or a reboot. Like, I think whatever you're doing is the best that you can milk out of this.
I'm gonna go with sequel because you could have Fred Savage be the grandfather or something like that, and then you could have what's his face from Robin Hood Men in Tights be the same character, but it could be, you know, oh, you've told me that story already before. Oh, but I didn't tell you what happened next. Type of a situation.
This is how you remind me.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying that like so he's telling the story to his kid.
Yeah, and he's told the story because he loved that story that he was told.
Okay.
And he's told it so many times that, you know, his kid's just like, Dad, I've heard this story before, or Grandpa, I've heard this story before.
And so he pulls out another book.
And then he just goes, however, yeah, you have heard that story. However, did you hear what happened next?
Yeah. So sequel.
Yeah. So I'd go with sequel.
I do like that idea. Because I was just thinking of Princess Bride itself as a sequel, like without the Fred Savage portion of it. But I like the idea of it being another book or something like that.
As you wish.
Because I mean, the hard part about rebooting that, or you know, is that what it was? Reboot?
Yeah, reboot.
Would be every single character you would be comparing against the original one. Like, oh, Andre the Giant did it so much better. So and so did it so much better. Fred Savage was so much better.
See, and this is what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of being a complete reboot as potential, it would be Fred Savage reading the book. But you know how like when you read a book and I read a book, somehow like we have different interpretations of it.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
That's exactly what it would be, is Fred Savage once again reading it to his son, but with his interpretation, which is obviously going to be very similar. Yeah, and you could probably 8-bit Christmas it and saying it was like, were you wearing helmets back then? Of course, poof, and stuff like that. Like, Dad, wasn't this person a redhead? No, it was brunette, poof, and stuff like that. Like,
Dad, is AI writing this story for you?
But I think I like your idea better. I'm going with sequel.
Okay. Next up, Austin Powers.
So we're gonna have a third one.
Prequel, sequel, or reboot?
Well,
prequel would you could do a prequel.
No, you can't.
You could.
No, you can't, because the third one is kind of a prequel at the same time.
Oh, I guess it is. I guess it is. Was he not frozen in the third one?
No, he was Foxy Cleopatra.
I can't.
Or is it Sexy Cleopatra? I can't remember. I hate that movie so much.
I've eliminated it from my brain.
Delete.
I remember I started watching it, and I put pause, and I walked over to my room, grabbed the notepad, and I started compiling a list of all the reasons why this movie sucked.
That's how mad I am.
So let's talk about this though. A reboot of Austin Powers, we'd always be once again comparing everybody to Mike Myers.
Well, I mean, you're going to do that regardless of the reboot.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll always be compared.
I don't think it's rebootable, to be honest.
No. It's too iconic.
It's too iconic. It's just like Matrix. Well, all these that you're listing are too iconic movies to be rebooted.
You never know.
I mean, give us like another decade or so when people are dying and forgetting and all that stuff.
Well, it's
new
funny.
Generation.
If you were to probably ask your 5th graders today, like, hey, would you reboot this or would you make a sequel? They would most people, I'm guessing, would say, well, what's that? Let's reboot it then.
Yeah.
Let's make it
exactly.
more.
And that's
not
what
the
it's
cool
for.
kids that
the cool kids.
I'm surrounded by greatness by.
I wish I could be like the cool kids.
But it was like 12 Angry Men. 12 Angry Men's been rebooted how many times?
Yeah.
And
it's not the same.
But honestly, the original is it the original?
Which one?
Yeah, the original, the black and white one is the original. That one is by far the best. I have honestly, actually, I can't say that to be honest.
The way I see it is, it's like Wendy's. They have their chocolate frosty, and it's the best one, but they come out with all these other flavors, and you always end up just being like, it's not as good as the original.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of like Mountain Dew for me.
So what you're telling me is, if we were to reboot it, we're basically having the new recipe for Butterfingers.
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of good, but also disappointing too.
Probably.
Okay.
It could be. I mean, but also reboots, also could be in favor.
Well, Ocean's 11 is a great example of a good reboot.
Batman Begins.
Batman Begins is
That's
not a reboot.
It's a reboot of it. They didn't continue with Batman and Robin.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
That was a reboot.
It's a different universe. It's the multiverse, silly.
Here we go.
That's a good question whether or not. It is a reboot. I get what you're saying. It is a reboot.
I can out nerd you.
I
surrender. Let's not talk about comic books. Let's talk about like the movie dynamics, and I think that would be considered like a reboot per se.
I disagree.
Okay.
Because if it was a reboot, you would have the same kind of origin story, similar type thing, where it's kind of because.
So are you saying like if we take an idea and we switch the narrative behind the idea, that's no longer a reboot?
See, so here's my idea. This is, and I'll let Tim answer this, but let me just butt in for a second. So my fear for about a good 15 years was the idea that they were going to reboot Back to the Future. And I knew who
I'd
they
be
would
fine with that.
I knew who they would cast as Marty McFly, and it would be okay, but I still wouldn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I believed back 15 years ago that they were going to do Zac Efron as Marty McFly.
That'd have been cool.
It would have been okay. The dancing scenes probably would have been fantastic or whatnot. They probably would have turned it into Back to the Future, the musical, which would just...
But I
But
mean,
like, if they would have changed the story
Mhm.
instead of the exact same story, would that be a reboot or would that be something
Well,
different?
but here's the thing about that, because what they could have done and what I'd be worried about is because I feel as though Back to the Future works because of 1985. I feel as though if you were to do it with Zac Efron in like 2011 or so, it would have been, we're going to go back to
The 90s.
1985 and kind of like with It.
Mm-hmm.
Because the original It movie / or TV series / book was they went back to, or they started off in like the 60s or so. And then with this newer one, they went back to the 80s, in which point in time, because, you know, the 80s are super cool because Stranger Things has let people find the 80s being super cool. I don't know. I feel as though it'd be similar but different. And then but I think at the end of the day, you'd always be like, you know, wondering what.
mhm. I mean, it doesn't. When I say reboot, it doesn't have to necessarily be like a
Word for word.
word for word, shot for shot kind of thing. Like we could say, hey, they're going to reboot Back to the Future, and it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, it's going to be the same storyline. It could be completely something totally different. But there are similar elements that we're used to. Like it may not be a DeLorean. It could be a completely different car
Mhm.
or a different device or something. Who knows?
Could be the Mini Cooper
It could be.
because it's the 90s now. So I just, for kicks and giggles, did ask ChatGPT and about Batman Begins, and it says it's a textbook example of how to reboot a superhero franchise and all that stuff. Yeah, so it was widely considered a reboot.
Okay.
I tried to find Copilot, but I've actually never used Copilot.
So
And I don't know where to find Copilot because apparently
It's a Microsoft company.
I know, but like I can't find like.
So what did you ask? Because I have an app for.
I just asked, would you classify Batman Begins as a Batman reboot?
All right.
So did you guys say about Austin Powers
Austin Powers, it's got to be.
I'm going to do a sequel.
sequel? So number 4.
Because maybe they could pretend that the third one never existed.
They could use number 4 to fix number 3.
Yes, that's
Mhm.
what they should do, because number 3 ruined the franchise.
Yes, I'm going to say sequel.
Sequel. Okay. Moving on. Heavyweights.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'm going to go with Reboot.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, prequel would be lame because that's just showing it.
Tony Perkis could be back and with a different camp.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be a
And
whole different.
He'd probably
camp.
be even more nuts with like the technology and nutrition now today.
Or it could be a sequel. And once again, Tony Perkis is doing something else.
But then you'd have to recast. It'd have to become somebody totally different. Couldn't be Ben Stiller, right?
No, it'd be Tony Perkis still. He'd be still Ben Stiller.
Really?
Why not?
Wouldn't it be too old?
No. I mean, sequels can be any time apart.
All
It
right.
doesn't have to be like the day after.
All right.
Okay. So just to interrupt, Copilot says, yes, Batman Begins is widely considered a reboot of the Batman franchise for these 4 reasons. New origin story. Batman Begins reintroduces Bruce Wayne and his transformation to Batman, providing a fresh take of his backstory. 2, the tone and style. The film adapts a darker, more realistic and grounded tone compared to the more stylized and campy approach of the earlier films. 3, the new cast, new crew. It features an entirely new cast. Christian Bale, Bruce Wayne, Batman, and then whatnot. And then it says independent continuity. And it just says it starts its own continuity, unconnected to other storylines. And that's where I'm like, okay.
Okay. And that's what I'm thinking about with yeah. The reboots is the continuity as well. It's like
Okay.
it sounds like it can continue, it can be the same one or it can be also different. So to me it sounds like a reboot bucket is much more a wider
Okay.
yeah. And it's funny that you read it in that order because I literally had ChatGPT up and they have the 4 reasons.
Oh, wow.
I mean, they labeled them slightly different, but it's the same things.
Okay. I have 2 more.
Hold on. I haven't said my heavyweights. I'm going to go with, I'm going with sequel.
I would like to see a sequel.
Yeah. I think it would, I mean, even if it's, even if it's a sequel, like, and I'm saying this and I'm giving a very bad example, but like much time has passed and there's going to be probably hardly anybody that's going to be that's representing the first one in the second one.
And the sequel can be called Lightweights.
Yeah. Ooh. Right. You chose Reboot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. The last one.
Let's see. I have two more.
Okay.
Next one. Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
Prequel, sequel, or reboot?
I would like sequel, except one condition that we're not going. It's not going to be the sequel, the money grab. It's literally going to be
A 3-picture deal.
it's going to be 1, 2 if the story is that great, not because we want the money, because the story is going to be great.
So we're going Christopher Nolan, like put it all into a sequel, and if the opportunity presents itself, we'll do another one.
Mm-hmm. The only thing though is like I could see with we're expanding our net now with reboots, the fact that there's a lack of continuity. I mean, that's essentially what. Would you consider the TV series a reboot then? Because there's a lack of continuity.
Yeah, it's a lack of continuity. But I mean, like, do they claim that they're linked?
I think, I don't know if they do or not.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going with sequel though.
I just my one fear, I guess, of like the whole sequels or prequels is like I feel like the more under the scope something gets, the more diluted it gets. Like when it happened with Star Wars, and it is currently happening with Star Wars, like it's just diluting the brand. And I'd be afraid of it diluting the brand.
So I'm just too lazy and not caring to look it up. But ChatGPT says The Ring of Power is a prequel to Lord of the Rings, which I kind of figured it was.
So you're looking for a prequel to that prequel.
I've chosen a sequel.
If you choose the prequel,
I would choose a prequel because they could because Amazon really does not have much access to the J.R. Tolkien material. So this Rings of Power is like a 0-calorie prequel to the actual Lord of the Rings.
A new recipe.
If honestly, what they should do is they should go back and do the origin story of the ring. That's what they should just honestly do.
Okay.
And not the horror film.
Oh.
So I'm going to change mine because I really...
You know what?
What? Right, you're doing
You just gave me a good idea. I want, because we are now in the day of, Wicked, whatnot. I want an origin story and a musical for the Ring Girl.
A musical?
Has there ever been a horror music? Well, not musical, because yes, there has been. There's like Sweeney Todd is a horror. Okay.
Yeah, I want that. Sorry, you just said that, and my brain just like the instant I heard that, I was just like, you know what? I bet you she was misunderstood. Oh, do you know who else was misunderstood? Wicked Witch of the West. Do you know who else was misunderstood? Lady from whatever, the 101 Dalmatians.
Cruella DeVille.
Cruella DeVille. Maleficent. She was. Let's
misunderstand. Johnny Lawrence.
Johnny Lawrence is. Yes. Johnny Lawrence is just awesome. But misunderstood. Yeah. The Ring Girl. Totally misunderstood. She was doing everybody a favor, probably.
Interesting. I was curious because I was like, okay, maybe not a musical that's like Sweeney Todd, where it's more of a murder mystery. I was like, what about a supernatural? Because that's what that is, a supernatural. Yeah. And so it's ChatGPT's like, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, Little Shop of Horrors. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. And Beetlejuice was like, okay, yeah, I guess there was a musical adaptation for that. Then I didn't know this. There was a musical after the movie Ghost.
Really?
And I was just like, I'm no wonder I've never heard of that, because I'm sure it wasn't very good.
Okay.
Fan of the Opera. I don't know if there's paranormal or supernatural, but whatever. The Evil Dead had apparently a musical. So, but still, like, not really any ghost, like scary ghost, which I feel like, at least on this list that ChatGPT, I'm sure there's more out there, but none have made it big until now when I come up with one, except they don't do words and singing and all that stuff. So I will just be the brainchild of the idea.
All right. So you guys picked for Lord of the Rings
Prequel.
Yeah.
Okay. Last one. Spaceballs.
Spaceballs, the prequel. Spaceballs, the sequel.
Spaceballs, the reboot.
See, I think that there'd be more humor in Spaceballs, the sequel, because they could, in doing so, be making fun of the Star Wars prequel stuff, throwing in like Jar Jar or whatnot, but also making fun of the horrible storylines of the last three.
There you go.
I also worry though, because like I definitely feel like any attempt that they've ever made of making a sequel or a prequel or a reboot off of anything Mel Brooks related has always fell flat on its face.
Mm-hmm.
The Spaceballs cartoon was garbage. I feel like there was something else that was attempted, but so I'm hesitant because instead of it being witty, like spoofs, I feel like they're going for the cheap spoofs, and I'm either way about this. Either way, if there's a prequel, a sequel, or a reboot, I'm absolutely worried about this. And if I was an executive, I would never sign off on this. I would sign off on Lord of the Rings being a prequel far before I would ever sign off on Spaceballs. I guess that's how much I care about Spaceballs. Now I'm just thinking what could potentially be the most successful. And I'm thinking a cheap sequel, unfortunately, is going to be it, because
I think a sequel prequel.
I mean, yeah, I think you could go prequel either way. I think either way you could go.
The Rise of Lord Helmet.
Yeah, you'd have to pull Rick Moranis out of retirement, which everybody's thought he's coming back for years.
I thought he was.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying. I'm going to sequel just because it's wide open to go almost anywhere with it. So
All right.
I think you can do less damage. Right, you said sequel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, that concludes that. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now we're going on to our draft. We are recasting in this draft How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Ron Howard version, which it's always funny to me whenever I watch this movie that the odd references in the background, like a bowl of keys. Like, this is a kid's movie. Why are there a bowl of keys here?
Little nods for the adults.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, no matter what recast, you still have to have Ron Howard's brother in it.
Okay, that's fine with me. That guy, he's made so much money just by being his brother. And I give him no any grief for that whatsoever. Like you do you.
All right, so do I have the first pick?
You do.
Okay, well, I am going to pick my Grinch.
Oh, they say my grandpa. I was like, okay, who's he gonna play?
I want to pick my Grinch because I don't really have backups for my picks. Usually I do.
If you pick mine, I swear I'm gonna come across the table and kill you.
I don't know if I will or not, but last night when I was thinking about this, I watched something recently earlier this week that I thought, that kind of got in my mind, and I was like, okay, I think he might work as a Grinch, and so I'm going with Mikey Day.
Who's that?
Mikey Day is a Saturday Night Live cast member.
Why? I'm trying to remember who that is. Mikey Day.
He plays the host on Is It Cake?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that. I had no idea his name was Mikey Day. That's more you know. All right. That's fair.
Okay.
I think it's a good one.
So I do have a tad bit struggles with this. I've never seen this movie.
That's okay. Then just
Okay.
fresh eyes. This is like
Okay. So, but my question is, what and who does, like, what is the mayor of?
the mayor isn't that the dad on Arrested Development?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, but like, who is he? Like, what does he do?
He's
Is he just a mayor? Is he just a person that
He's had like him and the Grinch. He like bullied the Grinch when they were kids.
Okay.
And so like he's still trying to like outdo the Grinch.
Well, and he's trying to steal, or he's trying to get the girl that the Grinch, or
Which
that-
is Martha.
which is Martha. And Martha's kind of has a thing for the Grinch, but the mayor's trying to get Martha to like him while also still running the town. And he cares far more about Christmas than almost anybody else. And he thinks the Grinch will ruin it, and he hates the Grinch.
Okay. So,
And everybody else is willing to forgive the Grinch except for him.
are we doing a modern one?
You
Modern
can do
day.
whatever you want.
Modern
Okay.
day. Modern
Or-
day.
Modern day?
Okay.
Okay.
Modern day recast. I almost did the 80s, but
Ooh.
then I was like, no, let's do modern day.
Because I have a good Grinch. And now that you explain the mayor, I have a good mayor. But with that whole storyline, I don't have a good love interest now. So I'm going to go with my Grinch. It's going to be Mel Gibson.
He could definitely pull off being a Grinch. There's no doubt about that.
I
But-
mean, you see some of his humor from like Lethal Weapon
Mm-hmm.
and bringing that in, like, and then he can just kind of go over the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, nobody's ruined mine. So I'm going to go with, well, you guys have all done the Grinch, so I might not do the Grinch. I am going to do, I'm going to do my director first.
Oh,
And just so to recap, so we're casting the Grinch, Cindy Lou Who, Martha May, the mayor. I didn't know his name was Mayhew. That's interesting. And then the director.
yes.
So my director is going to be Jon Favreau.
Okay. Good. You didn't steal mine.
Little Christmas magic.
Yeah. I had one other person in mind, but after some ChatGPT consulting, I will tell you who it was going to be, and you'll see possibly why I changed it. All right. I guess I have the wheel. So I am going to go to, it's either Martha or the mayor. I am going to go, I don't think you guys are going to do the mayor who I have. So I'm going to do Martha as Elizabeth Banks.
Ooh, I have the wheel when it's my turn. Elizabeth Banks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She could pull that off.
Yeah, I think so too. I think she kind of has that.
When I reveal my two, you might understand why I picked what I picked.
All righty. Brett, you are up next.
Okay. My Martha, I'm doing this totally blind. I'm going to have, I know who I'd like to have. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that back. I'm going to rethink that because I don't think it's going to work. Now, I'm going to go with my director.
Okay.
And I think by giving you my director, you're going to see the movie that I want to make.
Shane Black.
Michael Bay.
I literally thought about Michael Bay for a second when I was doing this. I was like, would that be funny if I said Michael
Lens
Bay?
flares galore.
Oh, that's JJ. That's JJ
cinematic.
Abrams. No, there's going to be explosions, dude.
Yeah, this is explosions.
I mean, there are some explosions in the Grinch.
Yeah. Not a ton, but some. All right. So now back to you, Criddle.
Okay, when I reveal these two, I'll explain the real reason why I picked these three,
Okay.
and then I'll save my director for last. But my mayor is going to be Ryan Gosling.
Mm.
Okay. Interesting.
You see where I'm going?
Probably.
No, not entirely.
So wait, your mayor's Ryan Gosling?
Yep. And my Grinch is Mikey Day.
Are you going to pick Emma Stone as Martha?
No. And for my Martha May, I'm picking Chelsea Peretti.
I know that name. Who is that? I know that
Those
name.
three were together in something recently.
They were?
It was the Beavis and Butthead skit on SNL.
Oh.
And I think those three would work well in a Grinch movie.
Chelsea Peretti. I'm pulling her up. Oh, Chelsea Peretti. Yeah, from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yep.
She was in the Beavis and Butthead skit?
Wasn't she the girl asking the questions?
I don't remember. Could be. Could be.
I think there was a good dynamic between the three.
That's funny. I don't know. Now I got to pull it up and see, because now I'm curious if Gina is how you like to call her. Okay.
I could see her being a Martha May.
Yeah. But the thing is she can be a strong, independent woman who doesn't.
That's Martha May.
Yeah, that's true. She is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Brett. No, it's not. It's not her.
It's not her?
It is just another SNL person.
I thought it was her.
I don't know of a good way to describe her. I mean, she's been on SNL for a while.
I thought that was her. Never mind. I'm still going with Chelsea. They look similar then.
Yeah, this is the girl from Shrinking.
Is it? I don't know. They look the same.
All right, Brett, you're up.
All right. For my mayor, I'm going to go with Idris Elba.
Okay. Like I forgot for a split second why. I was like, why Idris Elba? And then I saw the rest of your cast. I was like, okay, never mind. That makes that checks.
And director.
Yeah.
You're going with an action comedy.
I would like to see this, because this is going to be like an all-out war between Idris Elba and the Grinch.
AI needs to make a trailer for this.
Yes. That'd be cool. All right, I guess I'm going all in and on the rest of my cast here. Oh no, we have 5, right? Instead of 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick my mayor, and my mayor is John Hamm. I think he would.
The guy from what's it called? That show on AMC.
Yeah.
I
haven't watched it, but yeah. That one.
he plays a $1 Million Arm or something like that.
He's in advertising. I can't believe I can't remember what it's called. Something with men in it, right?
Mad
Men. Yep, that's it. All right, and then I am going to.
Your Grinch.
Yep, I'm going to do my Grinch, and I'm going to leave my Cindy Lou Who for the end, because there's no way in this entire world you guys will ever take her. So whatever. I'm going to do Taika Waititi. And I was going to take Taika as my director, but I decided after consultation with ChatGPT, I was like, what would you think about Taika both directing and acting, kind of like he does in Jojo Rabbit? And we just decided it'd be better to have more creativity on set.
Okay.
So that's why we're having Jon Favreau and Taika, because it'll be kind of like, they're both working together.
Mm-hmm.
Going for some quality.
Yep. All right. And back to Brett.
All right. So who was your love interest person?
Elizabeth Banks.
Okay. I'm going to go with Emily Blunt.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, that checks with the your action comedy going on.
Yep. It really does.
You're going to do like a How the Grinch Stole Christmas / Home Alone. Where they break into the Grinch's lair and the Grinch has traps.
Role reversal. I want that movie.
And he still hates Christmas.
He still hates Christmas.
Actually, it's a role reversal where they're trying to force Christmas on him. He's just like, I'm just going to be up here. Just leave me alone. You can sing all you want. I'm not going to steal anything. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to be up here. And so they try to break in to decorate his house for Christmas.
Well, what if his house was not in a cave far away? What if he's just in the neighborhood?
Oh.
He's like, and he's just, it's just kind of like, somebody knocking on your door, a salesman or something. And that's when he gets grumpy.
He's like the old man from Up, just
Yeah,
in his house by
exactly.
himself. Now I kind of want to see this movie.
All right, Curly, you're up next with your final picks.
My final picks. So let's see with my Cindy Lou. It is so hard to cast kids,
It is.
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're not in that business. And so I am going with McKenna Grace.
You'll have to explain.
She's the girl from Ghostbusters.
I looked at her actually. I guess the name just dropped for me.
And then for my director, I'm gonna just go with somebody that already has some Christmas experience, and I'm going with Chris Columbus.
Who's that?
He's the guy that did Home Alone and
Alone.
also the first two Harry Potters.
Yes.
Oh, I did not know he did both of those.
Yep.
The same guy did both of those.
Yeah, I think he can bring a little bit of that magic to it.
Yeah. That'll be fun. Especially with the Harry Potters. I really liked his Harry Potters more than I like the other ones.
I'm impressed that he was able to cast so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like he casts in his movies pretty well,
Yeah, he does. And I feel like
especially kids.
when I was watching a thing about, I think it was him, obviously, because it was talking about the Harry Potters, like when he was done, he was like, I'm done. I'm just going to finish editing this because they already wanted him to start on number 3.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nope, I'm going to edit this and then I'm out of here.
What's funny is like Chris Columbus, there were like, I think 20 directors or something that were up for trying to convince J.K. Rowling of directing Harry Potter. Originally they wanted, originally I think Steven Spielberg was like kind of the top choice. He wanted to combine the first 2 movies together. He wanted to add some elements that weren't from the book, and J.K. Rowling just was not on that boat. And so she continued to interview directors, and Chris Columbus was the last person that she interviewed. And Chris Columbus actually, at the time, his kids were reading the book. And so he read it. He wrote a script for it, brought it with him to the interview and said, hey, this is the movie that I want to make. And both him and J.K. Rowling just kind of hit it off. And so he ended up getting the job.
And that's great. That's great because, yeah, Steven Spielberg is a great director, but he's not always the best choice.
No.
So good for her. All right. Where did we end? We're on Criddle.
You're on Brett.
Oh, Brett, Criddle, you just finished. Okay, Brett, you have, let's see, you've done the Grinch, the director, the mayor, Martha, so now it's Cindy Lou Who.
All right. So I had to go to co-pilot for this one.
Okay. Yeah, children actors.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go and put in, it first
He's going blindly. He's like, whoever this kid is.
it first recommended
you're casting a baby.
Millie Bobby Brown, and I'm like,
I thought about that for a second.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to go with that. It recommended Daphne Keane, who was X-23,
She's
and
too old.
I didn't think she did a good job on Deadpool versus X-Men. I'm like, I'm not seeing. So I'm just going to give it blindly this McKenna Grace, who played a young Carol Danvers in the Captain Marvel movie.
That's who
I
Criddle
Oh,
picks.
what? I wasn't paying attention.
That's who I picked.
Okay.
I was going to say, I'm like, wow.
All right. I'm going to pick Brooklyn Price. I have no idea what she's from.
I think I looked her up too.
Just rolled the dice.
Exactly. Let me see who I picked.
In his movie, Cindy Lou is just a side character.
Yeah.
You see her in a window, one shot, she's done.
Exactly.
Now, my Cindy Lou is going to be one that if you have young kids and you've watched a certain show.
I think Brett,
Oh, sorry. It's Brooklyn Prince. Sorry.
I think your Cindy Lou should be the one and only Nicolas Cage.
So this girl, you know what? Not a bad idea. This girl, her filmography, she was a voice actor on a couple things, and her most recent appearances was on Cocaine Bear. So I
Huh.
mean,
Yeah, there you go.
all right, there we are.
There we are.
So
It's not too late to use
Brooklyn Prince. There we are.
You should have Nicolas Cage holding one of those green balls from The Rock in the window. Wearing a wig.
All right. So my recast, I only think Criddle would know this person if there's a slight chance.
Okay.
So I am recasting Cindy Lou Who as Lila Lockhart Craner, who is the girl who's on the show Gabby's Dollhouse. If your daughter watches that at all. Nope.
I think
Okay.
she does watch it, but I don't.
Oh, this girl is so cute that I would just die for her. And so that's why I'm like, oh, that's Cindy Lou Who. Cindy Lou Who is so cute. It's just so incredibly cute. So yeah, that's why I picked her.
All right.
So now I'm going to ask ChatGPT and if you want, Brett, I can send it to you and you can ask your co-pilot to see.
It's also an unfair question for him because his going in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
Whatever. I want to watch my movie. The only I toyed between two actors for the Grinch because I would like a line said, and that would be I was thinking about Bruce Willis as the Grinch because he'd be yippee ki-yo who
Whoville.
Okay. And then I want to give some honorable mentions. So I really had a hard time not picking this person as the Grinch, but I couldn't form a movie around him. But I wanted to so badly. And it was Andy Serkis, the Schmeagle, essentially.
Okay.
And I was like, because he did Planet of the Apes and he did Schmeagle and he could kind of like.
So would your
Christmas. We watched the not celebrate the Christmas.
Exactly.
So would your Grinch have been CGI?
It would have been leaning CGI, yes.
Okay.
This way. And it would have been a lot less comedic had he been it.
I'm kind of liking the role reversal Grinch where
like Mel Gibson is going to be like having a stogie in his mouth. Like,
I do not like it.
Okay. So who wins? There's 3 categories it gives and then a final winner.
okay.
Most comedic and family friendly
Tim's.
is mine.
Oh, okay.
Wins for Taika Waititi's hilarious Grinch and Favreau's direction. Most offbeat and quirky, Criddles.
Woo! Hey, you're quirky.
Cast feels unique and creatively fresh. Most intense and dramatic.
Yes. Yes.
Brett. Cast as a star power, but feels mismatched for the story's tone.
We are all winners.
But the final winner is me.
Uh.
It combines humor, charm, and modern storytelling in a way that fits the heart of the Grinch. I want to read Brett's breakdown. What it has. The Grinch, Mel Gibson, a controversial pick. Gibson could bring intensity, but it might feel out of place for a whimsical character. Idris Elba as the mayor. Strong, commanding presence, though it might overshadow the comedic overtone of the character. Martha as Emily Blunt, a perfect fit for a graceful yet strong character. Blunt could balance elegance and charm. Cindy Lou Who as Brooklyn Prince, an excellent child actress with a proven track record for heartwarming performances. And then Michael Bay as a director, an unexpected and chaotic choice for the Grinch. Expects lots of explosions and overly dramatic scenes.
Yes.
The vibe of your movie is darker, dramatic, and likely over the top.
That's exactly what I was going for.
AI knows me.
It gets me. Your vibe, Criddle, is lighthearted, warm, and comically quirky. Mine, does it? Where's mine? My vibe is balanced, whimsical, and modern. Mine's very lame.
So that's why yours was the best because it didn't do anything outside the box.
I mean, I did a little bit. Like I thought Taika would bring a whole different, feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it will be just another version of Ron Howard's, and it would be a normal stereotypical Christmas movie Which I feel like Crittles, yours isn't too different as far as that goes. I mean, I think you throw in a curveball with someone like Ryan Gosling as the mayor.
That'd be so great.
And Chelsea Peretti, honestly. Chelsea Peretti, a funny and offbeat choice. Peretti could bring a unique dry humor to Martha. Ryan Gosling, a charismatic and unexpected pick. Gosling could bring charm and subtle satire. And then Mikey Day, a solid choice for a comedic, quirky Grinch. Mikey's SNL background could deliver a playful and snarky Grinch, though he may lack the larger-than-life presence. Your Cindy Lou Who, a reliable young actress with a strong resume for emotional depth and charm. And Chris Columbus as the director, known for Home Alone and Harry Potter. Columbus would likely deliver a family-friendly, heartwarming film.
Oh,
yeah. I feel like there's a way now to incorporate ChatGPT into this that we should just you gotta make it your own now when we do recasts.
if it's ever possible, like we should always ask ChatGPT who's the best, and then somehow have AI make a trailer for it.
That would be awesome.
And then we can post it on socials.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Which, like, follow, subscribe.
I'm pretty sure we can in some ways, but I don't know enough about the video, and the photo stuff frustrates me because I can never get it, especially if you put words in it. Then it really just like you want it to say things, then it never gets it. And then the fingers, you all know about the fingers and how it can't get the number of fingers right.
Oh, could I say one of my runners up for the mayor, even though if he didn't look as old as he did, I think I would have preferred that as the mayor, and that would have been Harrison Ford.
Yeah, he does look old.
Danny Glover would work too.
I thought that'd be kind of funny to have Danny Glover, but Danny Glover looks extremely old. Like,
I haven't seen him in a long time.
Work.
Mel Gibson is old, but he looks like he could still, like, bench press, 300 or something.
A couple years ago they came out with a horror version of the Grinch. I think they call it Mean One.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
And wasn't Mel Gibson on a action Santa Claus movie?
It's called The Fat Man.
Oh, The Fat Man.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
So my honorable mentions for Martha May, I also had Halle Berry, and I was leaning towards Leslie Mann or Elizabeth Hurley, even. The mayor, I had Will Arnett and Nick Offerman as options, and then, like I said, Taika for director as well.
Taika would have been a good choice for a director too.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. Well, anybody else have any honorable mentions?
No.
All right, let's move on to recommendations.
All right, my recommendation this week. Recently, I went to, for the first time, I went to a screen adaptation also of concert. So like movies and concert, except we did a TV show in concert. And it's a pretty fun experience to see an orchestra play music from the TV show. And you're watching scenes and
what show was it?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, okay.
And so we watched like scenes. They did like almost the whole series show, and like condensed into scenes, and they played music from the different elements of the show, and it was really fun to watch, like this orchestra kind of tweak it and make it so that you're enjoying the music, you're seeing it played in front of you while also getting that visual element of the show. It's really fun, and so I'm excited to go see like something like another series or another movie play out the music. So if you like soundtracks and you like that kind of stuff, this is for you.
You know what I've always wanted to try is so unfortunately at our disgusting lake that we have here, the Utah Lake, they every year they do a Jaws, you watch it from out in the water.
Oh, that's cool.
In a tube. You go bring a tube out there, and that'd be fun. I'd always want to do that. But yeah, I've always wondered about the film ones where you watch Jaws or something like that, and then you have an orchestra going
like, I know that they bring a lot of that kind of stuff to this area. So like, I know like the next two that I've seen that we kind of looked at briefly they're doing Beauty and the Beast for one, and then they're doing Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, Pirates would be fun.
So I'm like, that would be really fun to just kind of go watch the orchestra kind of just play the music.
Is that the right one?
Yeah.
So
okay.
if you like like soundtrack music, this is for you. Like this is it's a really fun element to go to, and I think it's actually it was really cool for the whole family.
The way that they play the music, does it is it too loud so you can't hear also the show?
There's not always a lot of dialogue going on. It's more like there's scenes playing out, and it's they're playing just the music. Like there were sometimes there was music and dialogue from the show playing, but it wasn't overly crazy. You could still hear the stuff playing because like they would kind of go a little softer.
Yeah.
It was cool.
I'll have to check one of those out for sure. All right, my recommendation is so Brett likes to say my history with the library, and it's back to the library, as I've discovered that, and maybe I knew this and I just forgot. I mean, I definitely knew this, that you could go to the library and get comic books, but I didn't know that you could get them on the Libby app. So now I've been reading comic books via the Libby app and not having to pay for a subscription. So it's been nice. So yeah.
So support your local libraries.
Yeah. Get a library card, get on the Libby app. If your library, I hope it uses Libby because Libby's very nice. And yeah, it is a great way to read comic books.
All right. I'm sorry. I was checking something out. I have two recommendations. One that I hope will be a good one in the near future, which is Squid Game Season 2 dropping, I believe, December 27th, 28th.
That's good. I'm happy for that.
And a second one is a series that I appreciate, my the Google app on my phone, because every so often it recommends me articles, and it has learned, creepily enough, my likes and dislikes and some of my quirky interests. And it found a list for me to look at about 5 little known horror series or movies that are actually better than lots of mainstream stuff. And I was reading through some of them. No. But one really interested me. And so I started watching it. It's only available. Actually, somebody uploaded it on YouTube. It is called Dead Set. It is during a fictional series of Big Brother, a zombie outbreak occurs, but the housemates are unaware of the impending doom outside of the Big Brother house.
That's cool.
The first episode is quite slow, but it's the setup. There's only, I think, 5 or 6 episodes, but they do get really intense when the intensity, and it's quite interesting. I'm also not a fan of running zombies, because I find it funny that here are some people who it looked like in life, probably couldn't sprint too well. However, they're undead, and now their cardiovascular system is extremely good. But yeah, Dead Set.
They just don't get tired.
Yeah.
In death, you don't get tired. Well, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Yippee-ki-yay, Whoville.
Mother Martha Truckers.